This week I'm going to show you how to create amazing images like this with items found in your home. This week I'm going to show you how to create images just like this with items you can find in your home. Have you ever wondered how images like this are created? It's very simple to do, and if you keep watching to the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Hi there, my name is Brendan Diver, and if this is your first time here on my channel, I'll be creating videos each week on all things photography related. If you give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, clicking the bell notification icon, you won't miss any videos in the future. So, what do we need to create these amazing images? Well, first of all, you need a digital camera that can shoot in manual mode and any light source. Now, this can be anything from a mobile phone to your ordinary standard torch that you have lying about the house. What I have used for some of these images is I've bought these balls that actually light up. They're battery operated, and you can set them for different kind of lights. And there's a little button on the bottom where you can actually change how they change color, how they'll also kind of pulse, and there's loads and loads of different effects. So really, you can use anything at all as long as it's some kind of light source. Now, what I do is when I'm using these balls, I just tie a piece of cord onto the very end, so it gives me a little bit of extra length there. So just a piece of a rope, piece of cord, maybe 4 or 5 foot in length, just tied to the very end of it there. So really, you can use any kind of a light source, a toy, your mobile phone, anything at all. So the next item that we're going to use for making these images is just an ordinary torch that everybody has in the home. You'll see just a simple torch like this, doesn't have to be anything fancy whatsoever there. So the next thing that we're going to need for creating these images is a piece of waste PVC plastic piping. Now what I've done is I've got a piece here, it's roughly about 2 feet, 24 inches in length, and I've cut a section out of the middle of it here, so it's not actually the full length, the full pipe. There's only really half a pipe here. Now what I've done is I've also got a stop end for this pipe here for the end, but before I've put on that stop end, I've actually put tin foil on the inside, and I'm going to show you in a few minutes why we've done that. I've covered this pipe in here with a piece of translucent fabric. What I actually did was I got a couple of yards for different purposes for making soft boxes. This is basically a piece of ripsock fabric. I think they use it for making parachutes, I believe. So basically what I'll do is if you put a light through this, the light will actually shine through. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a torch that we have, we're going to put this inside this end here that's open, and then when I put the light on, you'll actually see it makes almost like a lightsaber. Now this torch here has got different kind of modes, so I can have it kind of glowing, I can make it brighter, I can have it flashing. Loads and loads of different effects. Now what's happened is by me actually putting a piece of tin foil on this end here, the light is going to come along from the torch at this end here, along the length of the pipe. It's going to hit the tin foil here, bounce back, and it's going to illuminate the full length of the pipe. Now this is a really handy little device. It cost me maximum about €2 to make this here. If you've got the pieces, you can even use tissue paper to cover this here if you wanted, as long as it's translucent and lets the light through. So that's really all it is. Plastic pipe, torch in the end, piece of fabric, and now we're going to have some fun creating some amazing images. So let's go outside and see what we can make with these different types of lights. So the first thing you want to do is on the top of your camera you've got a dial with all your different camera modes. For example, manual mode, aperture priority, shutter priority. Now you should see an option that will say B. This stands for bulb mode. Now what bulb mode does is it allows you to shoot longer exposures than 30 seconds. So put your camera into bulb mode. So the next thing you're going to need is a remote cable switch for your camera. Here on the screen you can see one that's designed for a Canon camera, but you should be able to get them for all the different manufacturers. Now what this allows you to do is to be able to push the shutter button on your camera remotely without actually having to touch it. Because what will happen is if you have your camera on a long exposure and you press that shutter button, you can and you will introduce camera shake. The way that this works is it plugs into your camera, and then at the other end then you've got a switch that you can actually operate the shutter button remotely. Now, if you've ever tried to take a picture when it's pitch black or in very, very low light conditions, you'll find that your camera sometimes struggles trying to focus on whatever the subject is. So here's a couple of methods that you can use to get the focus really, really sharp. The first thing you do is take a torch and shine it maybe about 10 feet away on the ground from your camera. Put your camera into automatic focus and focus on this light, this beam of light that you've actually shone on the ground. When your camera's focused on it and you've got the focus perfect, put your camera into manual focus. So from this point going forward, it won't be able to go searching for any objects in the darkness. You've got your focus basically locked. So the next method of actually getting the focus perfect on your camera in pitch black conditions is to put a torch about 15 feet away on the ground. Put your camera into automatic focus mode, focus on that light that you have on the ground, and when your camera has locked onto it and has got the focus absolutely perfect, put your camera into manual focus mode. Now what this will do is going forward you won't have your camera searching or hunting for focus in low light conditions. You've actually got your focus locked down and nailed, and you should get really, really good sharp images after this. So what I've actually used for these first images is I've used the balls that I showed you earlier on in the video, the ones that you can switch on and that can change different colours, and you've got different kind of pulse modes. So I've got it tied onto a piece of string or a piece of cord about 4 or 5 feet in length, and just what I'm going to do is I'm just basically going to spin it around, make different shapes, different patterns. Now I just want to let you know I'm not the best at drawing, so what I did try to draw here was a stick man. The results weren't the best, but have a go, practice makes perfect, and we've all got to start off somewhere. So just use your imagination. The only limitation when doing light painting is your imagination. Now the camera settings that I've used for these pictures are I've set my aperture to f2.8. Now your aperture is actually determined by your camera lens. So if your camera lens can't go to f2.8, just go to the smallest f number that your camera will allow. This could be 3.5 f4, or whatever is the smallest number, put it to that. Now I've put my ISO to 800, and the shutter speed is going to be determined by bulb mode. So when I go to take the picture, I switch on bulb mode, and when I've finished taking the picture, then I switch off bulb mode. So your shutter speed could be different in each images, but this is what I've used for these images. It may vary with your own camera. Notice how the lights are changing on these balls that I have there. Now you see the finished image, you'll see like a whole big ball of different coloured lights. Again, there's loads of different variations in this, so just practice away and you can get some really, really great results. Now what I've done in this next image is I've walked from one side of the frame to the other, just spinning the lights round and round and round in a circle and then walking back again. So basically it's a bit like cartwheels, and you'll see in a few seconds what the image will be like when it's finished. There's like a big coil of coloured lights going across the frame. Now for this next image, what I've done is I've taken, do you remember the plastic PVC piping with the torch inside? You could mix it up a bit by having it flashing, and you could keep it in permanent mode where you've got the light steady on. And here's what the images look like when they're finished. Dark winter nights are one of my favourite times of the year for taking images. When you can't get a good sunset or good sunrise, or you can't get your usual landscape pictures, you can have loads of great fun doing special effects and really, really different types of images when it's pitch black. This is actually a really, really good way as well of learning the exposure triangle and learning how to shoot in manual mode. So the best thing is just go out, practice, and have fun. You could mix this up with different lights if you want to. You could put maybe coloured gel over your torch. You could have several different lights together combined. Maybe have 4 or 5 different lights on a string, on a cord, and just spin them about and see what kind of effects you get. So here you can see loads of really cool shapes and designs in these pictures. Again, this is all completely pitch black, and you can see you can have a load of great fun doing this. This is why I absolutely love night photography, especially in the winter time when you can't do sunsets and do all the nice, great usual things that people would do. Now for these images, what I did, I went to a local beach that's close by to me where you can see the sand is wet and there's a nice kind of reflection. I had, I think, about 4 or 5 different torches on my arms, tied to my knees with a piece of string. I just basically had a light on my hat as well, on my cap, and I just basically spun them around, walking over and back the beach. And you can see with the stars in the sky, the wet sand, you get a nice reflection, and you can get some really, really interesting images from this here. In this image, I was down at the same local beach that's nearby me, and I'm absolutely addicted to the Northern Lights, or the Aurora Borealis. And on this evening, I got a lot of great images of the Northern Lights, and I thought then for a bit of fun, I would do a little bit of light painting on the beach as well. So I had Mother Nature's Northern Lights, and I had my own Northern Lights down below on the right hand side. This is a children's playground that's next to the same beach. Now what I've actually done here is I've used the PVC pipe, but I've kept the light on continuous mode. I didn't have it flashing, and I just basically walked around the different playground swings and slides and climbing frames. Now here's an interesting thing for you to note. As long as you keep moving, you won't be picked up by the camera. You'll see there's actually no track or trace of me anywhere in the image. All you see is the trail of lights that I've left behind. So try this at home and see what you can achieve with it there. In the same children's playground, there was a wooden boat that was fixed with 2 chains to 2 posts. And what I did was I used several different lights for this. So I used the blue lights for underneath to create water. I just shone the torch then on the boat itself with a nice kind of a green glow. And then for the sail, I used a red light torch that I just painted the outline of the sail. And it almost looks kind of magical, something like from a film, where you need to think that the boat was actually on fire. So the same wooden boat again, where it's supported by the 2 chains and the posts. So what I did in this was I used a red torch. I just painted the outline of the boat. So I did the mast, the sails, and I did the bottom of the boat, and you see the red glow that's shining on the sand below. This actually looks like the boat was on fire. And at the time when I took this image, a lot of people thought there was vandals at this location, that they'd actually set the boat on fire. But in fact, it was only light painting where there was actually no harm done at all. So again, really, you can use anything to do these special effects. You could use sparklers, torches, really anything at all to create different effects. But if you are going to use any sparklers, make sure that you don't go anywhere where you can set the ground alight, buildings, cars, or people's property. This effect was done on the beach, a couple of 100 yards away from the car park, from the sand dunes. I was right down at the water's edge, so there was no harm or danger to anybody nearby or any property. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you got some value from it and you learned a few things. And if there's any videos that you would like me to create in the future, let me know in the comment section below and I'll get that created for you. See you next week.